Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gareth Major, and this is a spotlight on Philip Vane as a British destroyer commander. So, this is basically as part of the British destroyer Let's Play and review guides that I've done, and this is almost just to kind of like wrap it all off at the end of the day. So, Philip Vane has been my commander in all of those reviews, and this is how I have him built. So, Philip Vane, his base ability of increasing incoming fire dispersion, it's interesting, but I wouldn't really say it's a big turning point really. I mean, if you were looking at just base traits, I could see that maybe going for tie wit could be more tempting, but it's not really the base trait that we're picking Philip Vane for really here, but it's a nice base trait. Now, for your tier 1 ability, your choices are between Contact is Imminent, which increases your torpedo speed, or Quick Fix, which reduces incoming splash damage. But also, Quick Fix reduces the damage taken almost to your steering gear and engine modules. The way it's described is steering gear and engine modules remain functional after sustaining critical damage. What this basically means is they're not fully functional, but I'd say they're like 75% there. Like your rudder still keeps going and your engine still keeps going at a reduced ability, but not massively reduced. Like it's still pretty potent, which is quite nice. Like your engine still keeps chugging along, which basically means that you kind of don't have to worry about damage conning your engine or your rudder. What this means is you can kind of stay in the fight a bit longer. You know, you can keep throwing those punches. Whereas like I sometimes find like destroyers where I don't have this kind of ability on there, is I find that once I've taken that one engine punch or that one rudder punch or something where I kind of go, right, that's my one damage con, I kind of want to break off now. With the British, this means I can just kind of keep throwing those punches and keep taking them as well. So that's why I feel like that's why I picked Quick Fix. Going for Contact is Imminent. I can understand it. I mean, it means your torpedoes are going faster, which means they get to the target quicker, which means that the enemy will have less time to react once your torpedoes are detected. But I kind of feel like that staying power with the British destroyers is necessary, especially when you're having to either push an engagement or break off an engagement as well. Being able to just rely on your engine and your rudder is really critical. For your second tier ability, you can either go for Flank Speed, which increases your destroyer maximum speed but reduces your rudder shift, or you can go for Look at Me Now, which reduces your sea detectability range. Now, my preference is to go for the reduced detectability. I think with destroyers, or with quite a lot of things in this game really, but especially destroyers, detectability is key regardless of what nation you are. If you're the Russians and you got the worst concealment, or you're the Japanese and you have the best concealment, sea detectability range can kind of almost, like, if you don't do it, you put yourself at a disadvantage against someone else who does. The reason being is in DD versus DD combat, the ship's nation's almost tiered, like the most gunny to the least gunny, and then their detectability is based on that. So the least gunny have the best detectability, and the most gunny have the worst detectability. That way, it means that the weaker ships can see the stronger ships first and then break off or leg it, right? So then what this does is this means that I reduced my detectability. So say the Japanese haven't, I might be detecting them about the same time. If the Americans haven't, I'm seeing them way before I normally would, and I'll be turning it and legging it. So it kind of means that I can pick my engagements a lot easier, and then also it increases your stealth torpedo range. Your stealth torpedo range is basically the range between your detectability and your torpedo range. And the larger this gap is, the larger your stealth torpedo range is, and therefore that means that any ship within that band, you can shoot torpedoes at them, turn away, and then never know you fired them, and then usually gives them a nasty surprise. So I think out of those two, I'd always go detectability. Flank speed, reducing your rudder shift. For the speed, it's interesting because sometimes you aren't the fastest and you can't, and therefore you can't really break off certain engagements. but reducing your rotor shift, like the British are known for being really turny, so could you take that sacrifice? I guess that could be, it's almost down like that's a personal call really. Now for your third level tier, we've got back in stock, which reduces your torpedo reload time, basically reload quicker. We have glass cannon, which improves the dispersion and the precision of your main battery, but reduces your HP. And then we've also got standoff 4. Now standoff 4 is quite an intriguing one. I mean, if you've got rank Philip Vane up to 16.3, you'll unlock the highest level it goes. And what that basically means is, once you're down to 1% health, everything reloads 19.8% quicker. But how much longer are you going to live with only 1% health? I mean, you're going to be chucking shells down range, but so it's not really useful in a gunfight. Torpedo wise, I mean, maybe you could make a case that if you've had your gunfight and you got rinsed and you're kind of limping around with a tiny bit of health, like in my Jervis review, having your torpedoes come back quicker so you can keep torping battleships, it could be possible, but it's not my kind of gameplay really. The glass cannon reducing your HP, I'm not keen on that because you reduce your staying power in any kind of combat you engage in, and your guns are pretty accurate and have quite good dispersion already, so it doesn't seem quite worthwhile. So this is why I prefer to go for the faster torpedo reload, just get those fish back in the water nice and quickly. I mean, you can get it up to 8%, and that's almost, it's just under half what you could do with standoff 4 really. Now for your fourth tier ability, smoke on the water, it just seems like the good all-round nice ability. It increases your smoke screen dispersion time and deployment time. That basically means how long it takes for a smoke screen to lay and how long that smoke screen lasts for. Now being with the British, you have quite short, small smoke screens that don't last that long. Increasing both of those, that's a plus. Your alternative is going for sidestep, which increases the range of destroyers guns, which is quite nice. Increases incoming fire dispersion, so that kind of matches up your base trait, makes shells hitting you a bit harder, but again it reduces your rotor shift. I mean, it's not, the rotor's good on these, so maybe you could take that deficit, but I think improving your smoke screens is going to be more valuable. I mean, that's only like a one-off, I guess, whereas you've got like 6 smoke screens really. Now Philip Vane's legendary ability, I've never been pleased by either of these. We have Unstoppable, which reduces your engine repair time, but then if you take that tier 1 quick fix, does it matter how long your engine repairs for? So that's I've kind of gone for that because I don't want to take rather be torching. The reason being I don't want to take this one is because it increases the chance of destroyer shells causing fire, the HE ones, but reduces the HE damage. Now, how I read that is it kind of like it reduces your DPM at the chance of increasing your fire chance really, but then your fire chance is only 8%, so it looks like you might be able to take that up, like most of the time anyway I should say, it's about 8%, so you can take that up to say 11%. I mean, considering that normally you've got 4 guns and the maximum you have is 6 guns, you're still only looking like 40 to 60% chance to set the fire if all your shells hit on target. And then you're reducing your DPM, which means if you end up in a DD versus DD fight, you've lost a little bit there. You might end up getting outgunned by like less gunny destroyers really. So that's why I'd rather go for Unstoppable. Now as inspirations, I think these are my go-to all the time. These two, I always go for them. The reason being is Detectability destroyers. Again, this matches up with my tier 2 ability. I think it's a must-have with any destroyer if you can. Always take a reduction in detectability. It just, like I've been saying, increases your stealth torpedo range, improves your ability to decide whether or not you want to engage or disengage certain combats. And then the other one I always feel it's worthwhile on destroyers, and that's going for William Sims. So kind of almost imagine it on like the tier 7, you're getting like 1,700 something health, and then so it's more valuable on higher tier, but I think it's worthwhile on most tiers anyway, because what it means is you've improved your staying power. So it means if you end up in a DD versus DD combat, especially against like the Germans and the Russians, they're both known for being like that. The Gady, the Mass, the Z-23, pretty much the Gnevi, the Minsk, and the Tashkent. They're known for their like health. They're big. They've got lots of health, and so this means that you kind of got that staying power with them almost. If you need to, if you kind of want to engage them, or if you just need to run from them, it just means that you've got that bit more staying power in the match overall. Well, you could other inspirations you could go for. I know when I first started out, I went for Dewey. The reason being is like before you have the Icarus hull upgrade, the Icarus and the Wakeful and the ACAS and the Valkyrie don't come with sonar. So what I found was I used to get torpedoed in smoke. So by going for Dewey, I used to be able to increase my detectability of torpedoes. But once I got the Icarus hull upgrade, I found she had sonar. It was a different can of worms. I mean, I was like, I didn't need it because I had the sonar. And then, I mean, I've taken Bruce Fraser's inspirations for increasing my speed previously. I've also taken Reginald Tywit to improve my torpedo reload time. I'm sure you could make a case for pretty much any commander within limits, but in the end of the day, I've kind of just settled on these two, and they kind of work really. Well, that's my review of Philip Vane. He's my British Destroyer Commander. This is part of the British Destroyer Let's Play Review guides. I'm the Galloping Major, and back to the port.